Okay, so I'm going to give you an overview of the settings or the gear in Eagle Ballistics. And starting from the bottom, I got these broke down into boxes. So box one is for me to manage everything. The other is where you can select if everything's in imperial or metric. Adjust for gravity at location. It's literally using the latitude in the phone to tell the ballistic solver how much gravity is pulling down against the projectile. Again, no other device does that. So let's look at the next one, which is device latitude. And it's using, again, the latitude from the phone to tell the phone and the solver exactly where you're standing. Using device pressure, it's reading physical station pressure, again, from the phone. Moving to HUD settings, this is where you can have the azimuth and inclination tool activated, or you can make it go away. For instance, if I turn it off and go to the HUD, you can see it's no longer there. If I click on it and go back and turn it on, then it's going to allow you to be able to use it, all right? So let me go back to the actual gear. Show temperature and pressure, same thing. If I go to the HUD, you can see there's pressure and temperature on there. If I go back to the gear and turn it off, it's not showing it, all right? It's still reading the pressure from the phone, but it's just gonna let you see it. So let me turn it back on. MOA or fractions, if I turn it on, it does everything in fractions. Like our up is 22.5 minutes. If I want decimals, then I will turn it off and then it's decimals, okay? I kind of like decimals. Moving targets, again, if I go to the HUD, I can see I got a mover speed down there. If I turn it off, it no longer is showing on the HUD. So instead of me going back and forth, you can kind of get the idea. Some things will show on the HUD and some won't. It just depends on when you want to have it selected. Relative wind is for the multi or PRS mode. Moving down, hold for aerodynamic jump. If I go to the HUD, it's giving me my dial ups. If I click on show it, what it's going to do is it's going to literally show you the amount of aerodynamic jump that's happening. So if I put it on Mirage mode and I turn the phone, you can see my dial ups are changing. But the actual dial-ups aren't changing, but it's giving you the changes your dial-ups would be being affected by. In this case, you'd have to come up 0.19 MOA. I like to leave it off, and that way it just automatically calculates the aerodynamic jump, as you can see. Let me go back to basic mode. All right, going on up, your max ordinate can be in feet, MOA, or mil. I like it at feet. Target mode is single or multi. Again, if I go to the HUD, you can see that we're in the multi mode for PRS and multiple targets, or you keep it in single mode. Next block is diagnostics. It's giving you where the speed of sound is, where the transonic range is, your maximum hunting capability with lead core copper jacket bullets based on how I teach, and then your maximum hunting range with solid coppers. Sensitivity, when I click on it, it's going to give me a little bit of information to show you how much error you can have in one of these parameters to have a quarter minute of error. For instance, if I go to environment, if it's a difference of minus 14 degrees, that's going to be a quarter minute of error. Just a little diagnostic tool for you to say, okay, if I got a little bit of error, like in my sight height, let's look at our scope height. It's be a negative 2.62 to have a quarter minute of error, okay? All right, moving back. Let's go to accuracy. Accuracy is using the circular program that we got. And again, what this is designed for is to show you, let me go to the table here, that if you got a circular error of probability, and this is gonna say, okay, if I'm shooting at a plate, for instance, let's go to a round plate, turn it on, and it's 20 inches, so from center of that plate to the edge, or the target is 10 inches. If I make a minor mistake, let's just say, let's go to wind. So we'll find our environment, we got our pressure, we got our wind. Let's turn on wind speed. If I miscalculate my wind speed by 1 mile an hour, it'll show you how much error you have, all right? And let's go to the graph, and this is actually a representation. These are minute of angle blocks of how much error you're gonna have horizontally if you miscall your wind by like 1 mile an hour. So again, really nice tool. Let me go back. All right, now we're gonna move up to the block that's called impact, and this is gonna show impact angle, retain energy, retain velocity, your time of flight. Next block, target. This is where you can turn on shooting with the tripod, turn it off. It's gonna show you your azimuth. If I click on the little tool, you guys already know it opens up the camera and sets the camera to 10 power, and it allows you to do it. You can also do that from the HUD. Angle modified range and all that's calculated. It's giving you your angle modified range based on the angle you're shooting at. Inclination, I just showed you, and then range, this is where you can get into it, and you can either range a target with your reticle or you can measure the size of an animal. Wind, pretty self-explanatory. Environment, again, it's showing you density, altitude, the humidity, temperature, and station pressure. Zero range or zero block, this is where you tell it how far you zeroed the gun. If you got an offset or an error on your zero height, not sight height. And then scope, angle, lock. And what this is doing is it's actually calculating the angle of your scope of what's called line of sight to the angle of departure of the bullet, and it's locking it in place. And really that's kind of taken the place of zero range from back in the day. So if you change environments, it's not going to be affected, because back in the day, like around applied ballistics, you put in your zero range and then you say, remember your station pressure or zero atmosphere. Well, zero angle kind of replaces all that. Bullet, this is again pretty simple. This is all your information about your bullet, and then it's going to have these little areas that we put in there, lot number for you to keep track of the lot numbers you did your data at, and round count for your rifle, for this specific rifle, so you can keep round count. It doesn't affect the ballistics, it's purely for notes. Ballistic coefficient, muzzle velocities, this is where you can true BCs or true velocities, and it's giving you your RPMs, revolutions per minute, based on your barrel twist and your velocity, and it's giving you gyroscopic stability, and I'll show you something about that in a minute. And then of course the very top is where you name the rifle, barrel twist. This is your scope height tools. You can use a calibers or the tool that's built in, and your correction factor. So for instance, one thing about spin rate and gyroscopic stability, we want the highest stability possible without breaking 300,000 RPMs. Let's say that I ran that at a 7 twist, and you'll notice that your spin rate turned yellow. It says, hey, you're over 300,000 RPMs, you need to be careful. You could have bullet failure on impact. So we want to make sure we're at the right twist rate to get maximum RPMs and maximum stability without breaking 300,000 RPMs. So anyway, that is the overview of the setting. And at the very top, I want to discuss this before we stop this video. If you have a question on something, click on the question mark. It breaks everything down. If you want to see every rifle that you have in here, not only does it show you, this one shows you individual rifles, but if I go back here and click on the rifle itself or the rifle folder and click that same square, it breaks down every rifle that you have in here, and it'll show you the ballistic coefficients, sight height, zero height, all that stuff. But back on the gear, it'll do an individual rifle that you have physically highlighted. And it gives you a lot of information. It gives you all their parameters. It gives you your target information. It gives you your wind you got in there, the environment. It tells you what range you're at. It tells you that your angle lock is on, scope angle. It tells you what the bullet you're shooting, the diameter of the bullet length, mass, lot number. Anyway, it just gives you a lot of information about your gun. And as always, everything that we have on here, you can print it or you can send it to yourself via email. So anyway, that's the breakdown of the settings, and the settings is where you put all your inputs in to now let the ballistic solver calculate everything that you're doing for long range hunting. Okay, and we'll get another video out on the other stuff that's in this ballistic app.